Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now we've got a special guest. We have got Master PGA Coach and Head Professional here at Woburn, Dan Grieve. And look, this guy is one of the best short game coaches on the planet. We've got a book out, the 3 releases. We're going to talk about those 3 releases now with Andy as the guinea pig. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'd like to welcome you both to Woburn.
Thank you.
What a place this is.
What fantastic weather you brought us.
I know, all the way from California. Just to see you, Dan.
So don't forget our plan before messing up as much as you can.
Yeah, that's fine.
Get
You've
it
got
wrong,
the coming up, yeah.
Okay, let's get into it.
We're going to start with a chip and run, like the bread and butter basic chip and run shot from a fringe lie. I'm going to go to that pin there.
Okay.
Now, this is a shot that should be simple, okay, but I see golfers messing this up all the time, and I always approach short game from 2 main pillars. Number 1 is make sure you got the right club in your hand in terms of the golfing IQ.
Okay.
So make sure you get the right club in your hand. And number 2, let's look at the technique as well. So I'm going to check out your golfing IQ and technique for this shot.
Okay.
So
I've got new wedges as well, by the way.
new
So
wedges, you've got MG4s,
50
so
degree.
there, right, so you've got 50 degree. We're going for the pin there. What was that, about 20 yards on there?
Yeah.
So you followed some of my content and sort of read the book, whatever. Does the release 1 concept make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely.
You're going to say, well, why didn't you flip and do it then?
That's why I asked.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, especially on this sort of shot here, really, as well.
Like the basic
Yeah.
chip one, yeah. Okay. Yeah, nice strike. Seeing here initially, you are setting up really nicely. What I like to see are level shoulders. I think this is really key in short game. You know, so I see a lot of players, I don't know about you guys, but round the greens they've got too much tilt in the shoulders.
Especially when they put the ball back as well, another weight forward.
Exactly, and that's great if you sort of want to be hitting maybe a driver or whatever, you know, because you're trying to launch it. But round the greens, it's an absolute disaster. But you've got really nice level shoulders. So if you set the player again, that's it. That's nice, and you've got a nice arm hang. You don't look like you're gripping it too tightly either.
Pretty loose, yeah.
It feels like it's 1 out of 10, sort of a 4 out of 10.
Not even that, I would say. Maybe a 2 or 3 sometimes.
Super light. It's fantastic. The stance is nice and narrow. I like to see sort of 1 club head between the middle of the feet here. And really, the only thing I would say is this left foot squares off a bit for me.
Yep.
It's a bit square. And when I watch you play the shots, I think you take it back on a really nice swing plane, like the club is on plane there. But as you come through, you get a little bit what I call underneath. You go this way a bit, which just throw the handle forward a bit. So
Yep.
when I talk about releasing the club, what I really mean is about how the club swings through impact and really where that butter grip points. So for release 1, which is a chip and run release, I'm wanting to get the butter grip pointing just at the left hip, just after impact, which is
Okay.
using that front section of the bounce. But because you get a little bit square here and you get a little bit underneath, it just wants to get you throwing the handle a bit forward.
Yep.
Not drastically, but enough to get the ball coming up a bit hot. And I would say that's slightly in what I call a release 0 camp,
Yep.
where you're not really releasing it. And that can lead to getting the ball, getting the club caught in the ground a little bit, particularly from some of the lies you might play out in California. Where
Yeah.
it's a bit more exotic.
Yep.
But because you're a good player, you'll often find you'll get that club on the ball, but the ball will just come off a little bit hot. So I think we can get you releasing the club a little bit earlier and then just rotating onto it, just to make it a little
It's
friendly.
really interesting because you've just demonstrated his full swing.
So if you set up there again, let's say you basics are good, just get this left foot looking a little bit more like this.
Yep.
So heels a little bit closer together.
Yep.
Toes further apart.
Feels so weird, that does, by the way.
Okay, well it looks great. Right, so take a backswing. Okay, so as you're coming down, just feel like you can let the club fall a little bit more instead of go this way.
Yep.
So let it fall, let it release a bit more. So really just after the ball, that would be the release point there.
Yep. So you want this pointing really towards
Yeah.
this left hip, yeah?
That's right, and then as you carry on through the ball, the chest then will work better this way.
Yep.
Because you tend to lag and drag it this way a little bit, that's what forces you to go a little bit underneath.
Yep.
So I feel like you're going to pass it through and open up a little bit more. In fact, I've got a little drill for you to start with. It's a
Lovely.
drill you can do anywhere.
Okay.
You don't need to be on the court.
How does this relate to a lot of the viewers who, like for the average golfer who comes to you, do they do more of this, or do they actually need to create a little bit more of this? So how would that relate generally?
It's a total split, really.
Yeah.
You get some golfers just don't rotate their chest whatsoever and just sort of flip it.
Yep.
But it's about getting the right ingredients in place. So I'm a big believer in getting the setup right, because a lot of people go underplane and then they have to flip it. They've got no choice.
Yeah.
So I'm never a fan of like curing the fault that's really obvious. It's like what's causing that. So I think a lot of golfers tend to get too far away again, too long game based. That then creates the need for the club to come inside and then release. So yeah, so I think you get a lot of flippers, but in my experience, it comes from setup.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you get, I would say, the better golfers I see more of this. Right, so you set up to the ball there. So we've got a little bit more flaring of the foot. Let's take it away on plane. So a little bit more release. I'll open that chest up. I was going to give you a drill, wasn't I? So I want you to do this, right? So I want you to put that club against your left hip there and grip it down by the ferrule. Down by the ferrule. That's it. And take it away. And because you've got a good plane, it should just stay on your hip nicely. That's it. And as you come through, open up. And this should give you a really good feeling of how the chest is working onto the target better.
Yeah.
Because your sort of paw movement would be where the butter grip would have to come away, so the shoulder gets low.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a comfortable move for me, and sometimes I'll hit a shot and I'll feel that I can feel myself here.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to you off camera that last year I had one feeling for me where my focus in my swing was where I ended up. It was literally, I'd be going, right, I need to end up facing the target, nice and tall, and this pointing more sort of.
And I think it's such a great bit of advice for club golfers to feel like, where am I finishing? Whether it's full swing or short game. If you get the finish right, you have to sequence correctly.
It freed up the impact as well, because I wasn't so focused on what's going on here. It was more here.
And going there,
Yeah.
Great way to manage pressure as well. Yeah, so do that again. Start drill again. Let's take it back. And what you'll feel here is how the butter grip pulls against you this way. And there's the perfect release one position. So from here, if you then let the club slide through your hands into the grip, that's pretty good, yeah?
Yeah, perfect.
That's where you want to be finishing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a great now just checkpoint for when I finish to hold and go,
Yeah.
have I come through to
There's
this
the
point?
release point. And you see your chest, your hands and the club are all matched up.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you look a little bit this way. Ball position, I think it was really good there. It was just back of centre, and the key thing for me in ball position is like, where is it in relation to the chest bone?
Yeah.
So slightly interesting where it is in the stance there, but really, where is it in relation to your chest? Now, because you've got a nice pivot point here on your left side, so you can see the pressure runs here from through your foot, through your knee, hip into shoulder. Your chest bone there is around about 1 inch in front of the ball, which is going to help the low point control there for you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that release more. See here?
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
It's almost like
That's a much better release.
Almost like letting go of the club, isn't it? In that transition, it's almost like the dead spot you're talking about. It's almost like letting the club have hardly any pressure at all.
Yeah, exactly. And particularly,
actually,
and particularly with the thumb pressure, I find that the pads of the thumbs are really what I see. People will go here and then they will squeeze. And if I just do that and squeeze my thumbs on the grip, can you see what happens to the club head? It creates that lag there. So I'm a big fan. I feel like you hold it in the fingers and your thumbs look like they're on the grip, but they're not really. And that's going to really help the club release more.
I've never thought about it like that actually, but when I do that, it's a great sensation, and the amount of golfers who come to us and we know that they sort of get to here and it's that super fast transition and get this going on. Exactly, yeah. Oh, I like the feel of that.
Do you feel like left hip can work a little bit more around the corner? Here we go.
Yeah,
Hold it.
definitely. Oh.
So when you put that left hip in more of an external rotation, it just moves so much easier.
Even though I can still feel that little bit of this way as opposed to sort of that release and then here.
I'm going to move you this time.
Okay,
So
okay. He wants to touch me, doesn't he? He wants to.
We've been waiting all week for this.
Pocket his
Right.
wallets in, that's what he's after.
Okay, so we're going to do backswing?
Take it back. Does that feel any different?
Yes, a lot different. Yeah, left leg feels obviously straight and much more rotation in the hips.
Cool.
I know I get this. It's a little bit of this.
Okay, we'll hit it together this time.
Okay,
How does that feel?
nice.
Nice.
Yeah, great contact there.
Cool.
Lovely ball and ground almost together.
Yeah.
Feeling
What
really
I was doing now,
crisp.
a couple of things actually. I was applying pressure at 2 points. Firstly, I was making sure the hip just moved back a little bit.
Yeah.
And in transition, your bad one will tend to go this way.
Yeah.
So what I did is I just nudged the hip out in front of you a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then with the left arm, I don't know if you felt, as you were coming into impact, I just applied a little bit of pressure this way, which then allowed the club to release a little bit.
Okay.
Because you tend to go that way, we actually get a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
That would be the bad one. So
So you were sort of pushing this in and here.
And that for you would be a really good drill actually.
Yeah.
So if you do this, if you hold the club just in your left hand and put your right hand on your sleeve and thumb on your chest there, that's it.
Yeah.
And then just make some swings and apply a little bit of pressure coming down. You should feel what I mean about that
Yeah.
release of the club. There you go. So you're releasing it more here instead of this top part of the arm driving through.
Yes.
That looks really good.
So instead of this move here, it's just a lot more.
That's it, yeah.
Could you get fingers underneath there? In between
Yeah,
the bit,
you
just to trap it in almost?
You could do that as an exercise, exactly. You could do that would be one drill, absolutely, because you could do that, tuck your sleeve in or put a glove under arm or whatever, This one is good because you're applying pressure this way, which almost makes the bottom of the arm work like a flail action, so it goes this way.
Yeah.
You see, so it goes there.
Yeah, I like it. Good feel. That last one felt really nice, and I love the feeling of, for me, I love the feeling and the through swing of this. But in order to get this, I have to do this, because if I focus just on this, it's so easy to drag this, isn't it? So my cue in my mind is obviously to let this work, and then, as you say, which I really love, is that the turn is supporting the release as opposed to the turn driving the shaft.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I mean, this for me is the engine. This is the engine, but the engine doesn't need to be going fast.
Yeah.
Right. So this continues to move, but it supports how the club moves.
Yeah.
So the club is working, and the chest is moving with it. Rather than, like you say, a lot of people get here and they want to drive the chest, and suddenly the club's way back now. It's totally out of sync.
And it's just so opposite to the long game, and this is why we have to have that separation, and this is why we do what we do in here is just totally different to what we would coach and do in the long game, and it's just crucial. That felt really nice, that did, and there's some great things that you guys can take on board from that.
Right, so we've got the pin just on, so it's a short-sided position. This is a classic run-off area.
Yeah.
I'd like to try and show me how you can play like a mid-flight. I'm not looking for a lob shot here, like a mid-flight, but just increase the spin.
Okay.
How's the shot normally for you?
I think I'm reasonable at this shot, I would say. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't struggle with this shot. I'm relatively confident with it. I would say maybe the spin, depending on the lie and obviously the conditions, but yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Okay.
Got the 58 over there.
I've got the 58 again, yeah, 58. I always tend to play these sort of shots with the 58. And I always like to have this face just a little open when I've got any short, shots with this club really off a lie like this.
Yeah, that's good. The lie here is everything. I mean, it feels pretty firm there.
Yeah, it's pretty tight, yeah.
And this is, for this shot, this is what I see most people getting wrong. It's actually reading the lie and allowing for how the lie will react to the club face and change the flight of the ball. So the lie here needs to be relatively friendly to play this shot. So I gave you a couple of lies there actually, which were a little bit bit thin, firm on purpose to see if you notice, right? And I use pretty much a traffic light system really in terms of the lies, in terms of the lie read. Now, lie doesn't need to be amazing, but if I put that lie there versus that there and then this one, okay, so I would say that is a green light.
Yeah.
You see how the leading edge sits under the ball,
yeah,
and the ground's got a little bit of give to it. That is an amber light. That is pretty tight. You can see the leading edge is struggling to go under the ball, and then you got this one here which is really sitting down. That's basically impossible to get the club under the ball. And this release too is using more the middle section of the bounce. So the release here is where the butt of the grip is working towards the belt buckle just after the ball, which is activating more of the bounce, which obviously is an indirect contact. We're trying to hit this around about sole's width behind the ball, and that slides under, and that's what gets the spin and the control and the flight. So we need a lie that is going to allow that to happen. If you get a lie that's sort of an amber light there, you're doable, but it's not easy. It's very easy to get that little bit of a kick, which you got there. So we'll come on to that in a minute. So let's play a few from the green light, and I saw a few things there actually. If you set up to the ball there, so I'd like to see get a little bit wider for this shot, and that left foot, you squared it off.
I know,
For this one, you want to open it even more because it's important you really work through the ball there. Now, what you've done there is you've opened the foot, but you've actually withdrawn it. So what I want you to do is bring your left heel forward. That's it. There you go. So you actually feel like your heels here are slightly shut, but your toe line is parallel.
Yep.
Okay.
So you want me to have a little. You want this to almost shallow me out a little bit more.
This is going to shallow you out more.
Okay.
Okay. Now just take the backswing for me. This is the key checkpoint here we're looking for. See how the leading edge here points straight up?
Yep.
And you do that really well. So you've got a little bit of cup in the wrist.
Yeah.
That keeps the loft and bounce on the club.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now, where you can definitely get better is narrowing your arc this side. A bit like the first shot. You have a tendency to get a little bit wider there than really would want.
Yep.
Does that feel a little bit more released now?
Definitely, yeah.
So you're going wider in the backswing to narrow in the follow through.
Yep.
And that gets you that lovely feel of just transferring the energy from the grip into the club head.
Yep,
Which
like it.
Give you a little bit more spin there.
His hands feel definitely sort of closer to the body here.
Yeah, that's good. And a good drill for you as well would be this one. If you hold it down towards the bottom of the grip and put a couple of the fingers out the top and go to the top of the swing. Now, at the moment, this gap, if we're measuring this gap here, that will pretty much stay the same as you come down. What I want you to do is narrow that gap, and if you just let the feeling of the two fingers here just working the butter grip back up towards you, That's a great exercise, just to get awareness of where the club head should be swinging and where the butt of the grip should be travelling, which is really important for people to understand. To land that club and slide it, we need the butt of grip to work up that way as you're demonstrating there.
Yeah, I like that feel actually.
Right, green light lie. Let's see if we can get this a little bit softer. Okay, right. Okay, that was good actually. I quite like that. Now,
Yeah.
there's a difference between making the release happen and letting it happen.
Yep.
And you made that happen.
Okay.
So if we were videoing that face on and we put it in slow-mo, we say, oh, that looks good. But you know, in full speed, we can see you really were trying so hard to get the club there.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do now is just get to the top and just practice letting that club just drop. So let the thumbs come off the grip. So go to the top, let the thumbs come off and feel the club work that way. It's a bit like we talked about earlier. You've almost daring you to decelerate.
Yes.
Particularly the hands, and it can transfer. That's it. There we go. Good. That's a totally different shot. I mean, that spin on that ball and the speed. Did that feel like you were much more patient in transition?
I'm just letting this just drop.
Yeah.
There was no effort in that. I'm just going to allow this to drop, and then.
Yeah, and that was pure.
Yeah, so nice.
And that's good. I think what you're saying there about just allowing it, that's really important. And when I'm playing these shots, if my mind was speaking out loud, it'd be like, okay, let's get it back. Right, gravity, when you're ready. I'm here all day. Whenever you're ready, okay, I'm just going to let the club fall. And it's like, okay, now you're moving. I'll just support it. And it's getting the awareness of that transition period, which I think most golfers are like really poor at. They just don't know where the club head is.
No.
And that's why grip pressure is so important. And if you can do the thumbs off drill, which I coach, where you take the thumbs totally off the grip and you swing there, you get an amazing awareness of the club head. You feel where it is and you can feel that transition. You can be patient from the top and let the club fall.
And this is crucial for golfers. I mean, they need to put themselves in an environment where they can just have a go and go, I'm just going to do it. And something that you always say, I'm just going to commit to actually giving that a go, as opposed to getting so focused on strike. That one there, I was like, okay, I don't really care about what's going to happen with the ball. I'm committing just to allow this club to just do this, regardless of the outcome. I think the key thing as well is this, that again, most people with short game, and we talked about this in Piers' video, which you need to check out, is that a lot of golfers are trying to avoid the ground. They're like, well, I don't want to hit the ground, because their relationship with it is poor because of how they're presenting, obviously, this leading edge. But the more you do things like this, the more confidence that you can go, wow, my margin for error now is huge. The whole body and the system goes, I can relax now. I'm not going to be anxious. And with me, I mentioned that I like to open this face. Would you, what do you like for the guys watching this? Would you recommend that? Do you like it square? What are your thoughts?
It depends a little bit on the loft. You've got a 58 there.
Yeah.
If you were to open it ever so slightly, that's nice.
Yeah.
I like that, maybe sort of 5 to 10 degrees. What I don't want to see is the golfer really opening.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what I see is the golfer that tends to open up is the golfer that tends to then drive too much.
Okay.
Again, we're talking about matchups, and in terms of practice, I'd love to see you practicing with a little bit of a stronger loft to try and encourage you to release it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why, I mean, Sevi was so great. Sevi's maximum loft was 55 degrees loft in his career, right? So he had to release it.
Yeah.
He had to find the loft. And that's why I'm slightly against junior golfers these days having 60s and 62s in the bag.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think with that amount of loft, they're not really incentivized to learn releases. So what they end up doing is pressing.
Hitting it hard and having to just drive it,
It's a good shot, that. I mean, it's a shot. It's a shot. But for me, it's not the stock way of doing it.
No.
That gives you that low flighted late spinner, which a lot of people, it looks good.
They love that, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I prefer, like you played those, just a soft first bounce, a soft second bounce spin, and then runs like a putt.
For the majority of people watching this, it's going to be that option, which seems to be better for them, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. Much safer, much safer.
Nice, I like it. If you finish with me, on this.
You've proven you can do it on demand. So
I
think we'll go in the sand for this.
Okay.
In the bunker. Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Release three, so
Release 3. We're in the bunker, and I think we'll get into different lies and talking about how you deal with different depths of sand. So I think that's really important. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you a nice lie.
Thank you.
With a nice, I'm going to get caught with a nice amount of sand underneath.
Okay.
All right. So if you think about so far, what we've done is we've used this part of the sole
Yep.
for release 1. Okay, the front section of the bounce. We then got into this section here, the middle section for release 2.
Yep.
Now we can really start to lay the sole in and use the back section.
Okay.
Okay, so the release now is going to be much more here just after impact, now at the right hip. So really
Okay.
exposing the bounce. Because the lie is going to allow us to do that. If it
Yep.
was a different lie, which we'll go through in a minute, you wouldn't use this release. And this is all part of the IQ side of things. So, you know, bunker play historically for you?
I would say it's good. I'd say it's a strong point.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, it's good
I would say it's it's a good part of my game.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
have a look. We'll go for this pin here. It's a little bit quick, it's slightly downhill there.
Okay,
But
right.
you've got enough green there to work with. The lie is kind.
Ooh, nearly hold it. Nearly hold it.
Very good. If you were to get any poor contacts out of the sand, would it be coming up short? Would it get in a bit clean or fiery? Or
Probably, if anything, I would say maybe a fraction heavy. If anything,
yeah, okay.
I would say.
So it doesn't spin quite as much as you want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll always guard against that, probably by having a little more sand. But yeah, maybe just a little bit less spin. So I like that really. Like that really.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, it's good. I mean, it is good. I'd say you don't look as dynamic in terms of the setup as I'd like.
Okay.
You set up a little bit like I would see you probably setting up for a full 9-9 on the golf course, for example. You know, it's very much 50-50 here. So I'd like to change that up a little bit. So I think I'll set up to one here.
Yep.
And I'm going to get you standing in my footprints, okay? Just
Okay.
to get you feeling it. So you get in here, okay? Tell me what you feel.
I'll tell you for a start, it's 12. It's size 12, so I'm going to fit in.
I can get. Oh, look at that's
There
perfect.
you go.
That's good.
Right.
Okay.
Tell me, anything feel different?
I feel far away.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're taller than me.
Yep.
Right?
I feel
So you
far
should be
away.
A little bit further away, if anything. But
Wow.
yeah. So I see you a little bit close, and 50-50 in terms of the pressure. Now that is going to give you the capacity to move a little bit too much from me side to side.
Yeah.
A bit laterally, okay, and that can be hard then in terms of where you're entering the sand and how you're playing, how you're getting the contact. So if you set up there again, is the foot flare again? That's more than normal.
Yeah,
there?
definitely more than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to get to the ball now, because I've got you further away, you're going to have to get down into your knee flex a little bit more, which
Yep.
is going to get you lower. That's lowering your hands.
Yep.
It's putting more cup and extension into this wrist, which is going to help. So you're going to have to then
Yep.
open the club face a little bit more.
Like
now,
it.
because we've flared the foot, the left knee can now come over the foot this way.
Yep.
And the right side of the pelvis is now more in, and this right knee is more kicked in.
Yep.
Because the sand is soft, and we know it's got a good depth to it, however, I want the upper body to be slightly tipped back.
Okay.
I don't want to keep it nice and shallow into the sand. So the lower body is fairly steep, and
Yep.
forward and left, and then the upper body is slightly back.
Okay.
So when you set up there, everything went. I just
Yep.
want the lower body to go.
You want me a little bit more like this, yeah?
Leave a balance to it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balancing it a bit.
So
more
more like
Yeah,
this.
so that looks great. How
Yeah.
does that feel? Is it a bit more pressure down?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And it's funny because obviously, from a coaching aspect, this is how I would coach it to somebody else. So maybe not as much tilt, but obviously we're talking more of on the difference of the sand here. But definitely, this is exactly what I would be doing, coaching a student.
Okay, well, just set up to the ball there. And if you take your backswing, so you did a decent job. I think what you'll find is now we've got you further away, the club face is going to be a little bit more open, which
Yep.
it is. That's good. So as you're coming down, we can't just let gravity work this. We have to release this a little bit more. We
Yep.
have to actually put a little bit of force in. So as you come down, it's releasing this way.
Yep.
That's the feeling.
So this is the release 3 that you're
This is
talking
on-
about
this is
here,
on
yeah?
the back hip now.
Perfect.
Okay, lots of cup in here. You can see how you're really showing the bounce to it.
Yep.
Now the reason you don't spin it as much is you don't get narrow enough around the corner and put it in the pocket here.
Yeah.
And that will change your bunker play. You'll get
Okay.
some real spinners if you finish more like this.
Yeah.
But you've now got a setup which is going to allow you to make that move. So you're steep here, okay, really into that left side, back with the upper body, release it round the corner, on which you really
Okay.
narrow that arc through the ball. Very good.
Definitely a little bit more stop on that one.
Now, one little thing as well, the setup to it. That's all good. Take it to the top of the backswing. As you came through there, you let the club face release a little bit this way.
Okay.
So you've got the shaft release, we know where that goes.
Yeah.
But we've also got what we do with the club face.
Yeah.
And I want you to get a little bit better at keeping the cup here. So when you're working this way, can you feel that?
Yeah.
So the club face is very much looking back at you.
Yeah.
You're a little bit that way then.
Okay.
Okay. See, I love that sound. That was pure. That was pure.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good.
A little less diggy, little bit sort of
You just hit it
shallower.
a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you did. Let's do that again. And what I like as well, if you hold that follow through, is that right heel is like barely got off the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of that move there.
Yeah.
I think if it comes up because you're rotating, that's great. So if you really rotate, eventually the heel will come up. But a lot of players struggle with the strike because they're moving way too laterally. And they're doing that because, again, it's speed. It's like
Long game, yeah, definitely.
but also because they haven't created that strong enough platform at address.
Yeah.
And because you're really rooted this way now,
Yeah.
that's really, it should feel quite hard for you to kind of push.
Yeah, I'm fully into this, and it just feels like this is really pushing into the ground.
Good. 1, 2, and then stops. Very
Nice spinning, stopping pretty quickly. Again, I'm not used to having that. Mine always just release out that little bit more. Yeah, exactly.
Keep that shot in your locker because let's face it, if there was water behind there, that would be the shot. Just got to chunk it out and let it run.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to play the circumstance. Now, if you were playing at a golf course where there was less sand, so I'm going to create a lie here for you where there is less that's firmer. Okay. And I'm going to give you a shot there, and I want you to tell me or show me how you would play that lie.
Okay, so I would still be having a little bit more weight in the lead leg. Now I don't obviously want to be tilted now. I want to be a little bit more down into the back of this because I feel like I need to be digging this out a little bit more. And I definitely am not going to be releasing it quite as much on the way through just because of almost this is a bit wet there as well.
Good. So you steepen that.
Yeah.
That's good. I'd maybe just, in terms of release point here, let me just show you. So when you're playing from the soft sand there, you were releasing it lovely. It was right back here, working it here. Obviously, if you did that here, it's going to land and kick.
Yeah.
You're going to thin it, as you absolutely said. You need to get steeper. And I like the word dig. That's kind of the feel you need here. It's a dig feel. Think about the follow through being more a release one feel.
Okay.
So it's a hinged backswing. So you're still hinging. You can see how the follow through is much more this way. It finishes here, it stops here. So it allows you to get a little bit steeper and a little bit more diggy into it. So again, like you said earlier, think about where you want the swing to finish.
Yes.
The longer you finish here, the more chance you've got of that bounce kick.
And on that lie, it could be that sort of drop kick thin shot, yeah?
And we know that's pretty disastrous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty compact lie there. Yeah, so low body doesn't change. The ball position has moved a little bit further back. You put a little bit more shaft angle in. We know that takes the bounce off. That would be a good idea.
Yep.
Upper body is now leaning left, as you said. You hinge it up a little bit more.
Yep.
Come down, and you're finishing now here. So the butt of the grip now is pointing at the left hip.
Yep.
Which is we know is taking a little bit of bounce.
Yes,
Okay?
definitely. And that finish is going to be.
You nip it really short.
The good thing because there's less sand, there's a good chance of less stop as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, for me there, and I love it within short game, is just having the focus here. It's amazing what that does because it just takes away the thought and the anxiousness around what's going on at the ball. It's like, I've just got to get to here and just, that focus just organises everything else before. Am I done?
Yeah, I think you're done.
I am done.
Nice, yeah.
I am done. I've passed. I've got a little bit to work on, which is always nice. But look, Dan, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
Really enjoyed that. That was great. Look, you guys have got some great things, I think, to work on there. Just take on board what Dan says. I guarantee they're going to be helpful. Also, check out Dan's video that we did over on his channel. He gave Pierce a lesson, amazing lesson. He's now got a very new shot to play. Click the video right here, and also check out Dan's book. We'll put it down in the description. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.